Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our video class. I hope you feel cheerful and enthusiastic today, and you are still willing to continue your learning at a distance. Very often, we would like to describe or we need to identify the person, place, thing, time, or reason we are talking about. And we use such words as who, whose, which, that, when, where, or why. But there is often some confusion, as in certain places we can eliminate them, or we can use that instead of who or which. Sometimes the sentences with these words need to be put in commas. These words are called relative pronouns, and the sentences they introduce relative clauses. Today we are going to review the use of them, and let's start with the definition. A relative pronoun functions as a word that links two clauses into a single complex clause. Let's have a look at the example. Corfu is an island. It has many beautiful beaches. Corfu is an island which has many beautiful beaches. A relative pronoun is used to refer to nouns mentioned previously, whether they are people, places, things, animals, or ideas. There are only a few relative pronouns in the English language. The most common are who, whom, whose, which, and that. In some situations, the adverbs why, when, and where can also function as relative pronouns. Because there are only a few of them, there are also just a few rules for using relative pronouns, and we should keep them in mind as we speak and write. Let's have a look at the usage of relative pronouns. Who refers to people and can act as the subject or the object of the relative clause. The man who makes no mistakes doesn't usually make anything. In this sentence, who is used as the subject. Is that the man who we saw in the park? In this question, who is used as the object. Whom refers to a person when the person is the object of the verb. This is the man whom we hired last Monday. That's the girl with whom I went to the party. But it is very formal to use whom with prepositions. It is more usual to use who instead of whom. That's the girl who I went to the party with. Which refers to animals and objects and can act as the subject or the object of the relative clause. Tom is playing with the dog which lives next door. In these sentences, which is the subject. Have you eaten the cakes which I made yesterday? In this question, which is the object. Whose refers to possessions of people, animals, and objects. She is the student whose handwriting is the best in my class. That's the bag whose handle is broken. Let's have a look at the usage of relative adverbs. Where refers to place. The moon is not seen where the sun shines. Sign your name on the form where I've put a cross. When refers to time. August is the month when most people go on holidays. 1945 was the year when the Second World War ended. Why refers to reasons. Everyone was curious why Mark was leaving. I'd like to know the reason. Why you are so late? There are two kinds of relative clauses. One of them is a defining relative clause. It is used to make clear which person or thing we are talking about. The clause is not put in commas. This is the man who owns this shop. This is the house which Jack built. We can leave out the pronoun if it is the object of the relative clause. This is the house Jack built, which that is the object of build, and it can be omitted. We can drop it. This is the man who owns this shop, who is the subject, and it cannot be omitted. We can't drop it. In this kind of relative clause, we can use that instead of who or which. That refers to people, things, and animals. Who and which can be replaced by that, which we use commonly in spoken English, and can act as the subject or the object of the relative clause. He is the student who joined our class last year. In this sentence, it is the subject. It's a poor mouse which has only one hole. It is the subject as well. Where is the ring which George gave you? In this question, it is the object. We also use relative clauses to give more information about a person, thing, or situation, but it's not essential to the meaning of the main sentence, and the sentence is still complete when we drop a relative clause. This kind of sentence is called a non-defining relative clause. Lord Thompson, who is 76, has just retired. Or we can say, Lord Thompson has just retired. We had fish and chips, which I always enjoy for lunch. Or we can say, we had fish and chips for lunch. With this kind of relative clause, we use commas to separate it from the rest of the sentence. The apple pie, which I made yesterday, tastes great. In this kind of relative clause, we cannot use that. That cannot replace who or which. Lord Thompson, who is 76, has just retired. We can't say Lord Thompson, that is 76, has just retired. To have more practice, you can fill the gaps in these sentences with the appropriate relatives. It's not complicated at all. But one more exercise is in your books, in Module 6a, Exercise 6, page 109. In Task B, you should join two sentences using relative pronouns given in brackets. And in Task A, you have to find defining and non-defining relative clauses in the text called A Trip to Titanic, which was a luxury British steamship that sank in the early hours on the 15th of April in 1912 after striking an iceberg, leading to the deaths of more than 1,500 passengers and crew. So I would like you to do exercise number 7, page 109, and answer the question: what did you find the most interesting in the text and why? Send your opinions to your teachers, please. In grammar reference of your books, you can find information about relatives and relative clauses if you need it. In learning apps exercises, you may practice them if you want it. You can also watch or rewatch the film Titanic, directed by James Cameron, to enjoy yourself. Thank you very much and have a nice day and enjoy your distance learning. Don't forget to send your works for marking. Bye!